So, back in, like, I don't know, maybe 1937 or something like that. It was like middle of Depression, and Amelia Earhart wanted to fly her airplane all the way around the world, prove that women are equal to men. So the first thing she did to prove women are equal to men was find a man to fly with her to do all the navigation and the charts. I gotta have some water. I really don't drink that much alcohol in any given time. So, yeah, okay. And this is Drunk History ASMR. So, let me start at the beginning. I was at a county fair in Alabama, and they said, come see Amelia Earhart's airplane, the great mystery solved. And I went to the big tent where they were storing the airplane for Amelia Earhart, and I paid money, and I paid for my whole family to go in there. And I went in there, and there was this old ratty DC-3. They probably used to haul cocaine up from Colombia, sitting there all busted up, looking really bad. And I said, that's not Amelia Earhart's airplane. That's not even the right airplane. That's a DC-3. She flew an electrolyte. Or some Electra? I don't know what it was. But it wasn't that piece of shit sitting there on the tarmac. So the guy said, don't ruin it, it's for the kids. And I said, well, you're teaching the kids all wrong. So I got really, hammered that night. And I sat down to tell my story about the real Amelia Earhart. Because I think it's history worth preserving. Alcohol, if you drink enough of it, is like a preservative. You can kill nothing's going to live in alcohol. It'll kill all the bugs inside you, like the viruses and the bacteria they just die because the alcohol kills everything. And I know, so that's the secret to long life, is to drink good, clean alcohol in abundance. I could use a towel. Okay, so Fred Noonan was this navigator, and Amelia Earhart thought he was a nice guy, but actually he just was like a lonely nerd, and he wasn't really good at his job either. He was a lousy navigator, but he was the only guy that would fly with her because everybody wanted to see her fail. Everybody wants to see women fail. So no man was willing to help her. But Amelia was strong, and she was smart. And so she knew, I just need this guy to write down the numbers. I'll figure it out as I go. So they flew around the world, and they're doing pretty good. And Fred, he keeps, making these stupid innuendos, and stuff, talking about the, Mile High Club and stuff. And she's like, you got to get it under control. We're not kids anymore. We act like a juvenile delinquent. And Fred was always, trying to sabotage the trip. They were in Europe, and he was chasing these girls down the street in Gay Paris, and the police picked him up, and she had to pay his bond to get him out so she could fly the next day. You know, he was trying to buy a lady of the night or something. He had a real tremendous deviant sex drive, and he was horrible at doing his charts. And it really makes you wonder why she picked this guy in the first place. But I think it's because, you know, he was the only, you know, he was cheap. This is really going off the rails. So then they got over to the Pacific Ocean, and it's really big. The Pacific Ocean's really big. And they said, well, we got to make these two really long, the longest legs of our entire... I was just making that stuff up about Fred Noonan. He really wasn't a sex pervert. But it's funnier later. It kind of adds to the story later. Yeah, if you could... I don't know. If you know... So I was just making that part I was making up. He was actually probably a nice guy. I don't know. But he was really a shitty navigator. He might have been a nice guy, not a prevert or something, or, you know, sex deviant, or want to be in the Mile High Club, but he was really a piece of shit navigator. And everybody was like, why did you get Fred Noonan's boat? And he can't navigate a boat across Lake Erie. So that's only 22 miles long. So they were on the longest leg of their journey. Now, Pacific Ocean takes up a lot of the Earth's space. You know how big the Pacific Ocean is. So the two longest legs of their trip across the Pacific, they said, let's find the smallest island possible to land on. And I think it was called Howland Island was where they were supposed to land. I actually know this stuff, but it was so small, and they were at the end of their fuel, the end of their fuel thing, that they started to run out of gas, and they were calling the Navy and the other search boats, and they were like, hey, we gotta land or we're in trouble. And they said, well, that's what you get for picking Fred Noonan as your navigator. He picked the smallest island in the whole freaking Pacific with an airstrip. And I think her airplane was an Electra. Yeah. So, I know this is drunken ASMR history, but I gotta get some water in me because you know, when it's in your head and you're like, and then it's over here. So, Amelia Earhart's like, this is our position according to dummy over here. I'm going down. And instead of landing on Howland Island, they landed in the water on the beach. Perfect 3-point landing. Amelia brought it right down in the sand because she could really fly an airplane, you know. And they landed on Gardner Island, which is also called Nimmer it's called something different now. Nimmernaku Island? I don't know, but it's south of Hawaii. And they landed there, and they got out, and Fred Noonan, you know, he like panicked immediately, and he grabbed a gun, and he put on a bandana, and he started running around like a horse's ass. And Amelia was like trying to figure out their location using her sextant to look up at the stars. I got one somewhere. But hers was an aviator sextant. And she's like trying to fix her position so she could call over the radio. And right then, this big, huge native man walked up on Nihau Island. And it was none other than King Kamehameha himself, king of all of Hawaii. That's right, King Kamehameha of Hawaii was there with his royal guard and his entourage. And he walked up and said, "Hey, you're Amelia Earhart." And she said, "Oh my God, you're like King Kamehameha. Like, am I in Hawaii?" And he said, "No, we were out here fishing on the other side of the island, smoking a bowl, and we saw your plane come in. So we decided to come over and offer you a little skiff. And she's like, "Well, what? Okay, I'm really tired because this was the longest leg into the journey." And he's crazy. He's drinking salt water. Fred Noonan was down the beach drinking salt water, which was really bad. If you know anything about salt water, it makes you crazy. And he was like, he peed his pants. It was just, and he had a gun. Typical. It just wasn't good. Everything was bad right now. And King Kamehameha said, "Well, that's okay, Amelia. You can come over. We're going to have some pineapple, and we're going to have a luau back on the islands when we get back." And we were here picking up some of these coconut crabs. These things are big. These coconut crabs are like 3 feet wide. They're like so big. They're the biggest crab, crustacean, exoskeleton creature on the planet. And there's reason to believe that they are at the upper size limit for a creature that size. Nothing can, in the Miocene era, or whatever we're living in, the modern era, you can't get much bigger than that, or else your crab shell, you can't breathe. You suffocate under your own size. So these crabs have lungs and vestigial gills, and they could be poisonous, so you gotta have somebody with you, just like when you're mushroom hunting. You gotta go and get a mushroom hunter that knows the mushrooms. You can't use like an app on your phone and say, "Oh, that looks like a tasty mushroom. I think I'll try it out here in the woods before I get back to civilization." You don't do that with mushrooms, and that's in North America or Europe. See, you use a pig, and if the pig eats the mushroom and it dies, then you go, "Well, that's not a good mushroom." See, well, King Kamehameha, he had servants, and down in the Pacific Islands, they eat the pig. See, so they don't want the pig eating poison mushrooms or poison coconut crab. See, that's the king's like, "I'm the king. I'm smart." So he was explaining to Amelia Earhart, "See, I've got that servant over there. We busted him for robbery and buggery the other night. On Saturday night he got caught buggering somebody, and we're gonna have him eat the crab first. And if he dies, then we know that we can't eat these crabs. But if he doesn't die, we're going to have a luau, and you're going to be our special guest." And she's like, "I'm so tired of all this, civilization. I wish I could live a simple life like all of you people here." And right then, she was starting to, feel better about herself. So Amelia she really was starting to like get into the jungle fever, getting into the feeling good about herself, getting some tan. And, the sun was really nice that day. And right then, Fred Noonan ran up with his revolver, and he started screaming, "Get away from her, you headhunters. You ain't gonna take me. You ain't gonna take me alive." And they're like, "Calm down, bro. Like, chill, man. What is this, man? What is this? Where do you think you are, Compton?" And Fred Noonan's like waving his gun around, and he accidentally goes off, and he shoots the guy eating the crabs to see if they're poisonous. He shoots him right in the arm like a flesh wound. And Amelia runs over and grabs the guy, pulls him to her bosom. That's what women did back then. They were real motherly. And she says, "Oh, Fred, look what you've done, my Fred." And then Fred Noonan's like, "Oh." And King Kamehameha, he'd had enough of this horse shit already. He took his big spear. King Kamehameha had this big spear, and he just skewered Fred Noonan right there, right through the heart, killed him dead. And he actually stabbed him so hard that his heart blew out the back of his chest and hit the sand and just exploded. And then Kamehameha looked at the heart, and he looked at Amelia Earhart, and he just said, oh, fuck it. Now that was bad. So she's like, oh, I can never go back to civilization again. And I think I'm in love with this man, even though he's a common thief. I think I love him. He's so handsome, and he's so muscular and well-oiled, and he looks like The Rock. He's so handsome. Oh, he's handsome. And King Kamehameha said, keep it PG-13 because there's kids watching on YouTube. And then, so he said, well, leave the plane here, and we'll just go jump on my boat, my catamaran, and we got some cold ones on we got some cold ones on ice in there, and some fish. We're gonna have a good food tonight, and we're gonna celebrate and have a wedding, and you could just live with us, Amelia Earhart, and you can be part of my royal entourage, and I'll give you an island that you can live on with your new husband, and you could be the princess of an entire island in honor of saving his life from that crazy white man over there. And King Kamehameha turned to all the people in his entourage and said, see, I told you, never trust Whitey. That was the lesson that they were trying to teach everyone. And then they left, and there's this island today where they only speak Hawaiian, even today, that these Scottish people bought from King Kamehameha with gold. And that's where all the non-Hawaiians that speak Hawaiian live. And everything was fine until World War II came, and Pearl Harbor was this is the story of Amelia Earhart. And then this really happened, that Amelia Earhart was the queen of this island for like 5 years with these Scottish people, and they all spoke. There were some regular Hawaiians there. They would teach the people Hawaiian, and it was like a utopian society. And Amelia was the queen. Her name was Queen Gumakakachakapakakaba, something like that, which means brought back from the coconut crabs. And they just left Fred Noonan there. They pushed the airplane right in the water, and then they put Fred right in the boat, or the ship, the airplane. So they pushed the boat, they pushed the airplane, and the airplane got sucked into the deeps of the ocean, and Fred Noonan was never seen again. So then, World War II, was just 1941. So a few years later, Amelia's hanging out with her babies and the Scottish people. There really is an island full of Scottish people that speak Hawaiian down there. You gotta look it up. I'm not making this crap up. I'm telling you the truth. And this is a true story too. Okay, so I'm hurting. Pearl Harbor Day was December 7th, and the Japanese hated Pearl Harbor Day. So they invaded Pearl Harbor and dropped bombs everywhere on December 7th, 1941, because they hated Pearl Harbor Day. They were like, screw your holiday, King Kamehameha. You should have joined the Empire of Japan, not the United States. And one of the Zero fighters, he got lost, just like Amelia Earhart. See how fate works, everyone? And he crashed his Zero plane on that island where Amelia lived. And he took some people hostages. And he tried to burn down their houses. And he tried to shoot a guy with his gun. And the natives were real smart. They were like, this guy is like bullshitting us, you know. Screw Japan. We're out of here. And so they jumped on their boats and they started paddling back to the mainland to get help. They didn't know that the Japanese invaded Pearl Harbor on Pearl Harbor Day. So they were like, what's this guy's problem, man? He flew away from Japan for this? And this Japanese soldier's like freaking out. You know, he's like high or something. And he's like shooting everybody. And they're like, this is just like Fred Noonan. Everybody was like, this guy crashing an airplane makes you insane. Makes men insane. So they took a big rock and they dropped it on this guy's head and they killed him. And then the Japanese people that were there trying to help the soldier, they all got arrested. And they said, this is bad. So if you've ever crashed in a plane and lived, we are going to put you in an internment camp because you're going to go insane and wave a gun around and try and kill people. That's what they figured out from this. And so they built these internment camps at the beginning of World War II. And anybody that crashed an airplane, it was a man, had to go to these camps to live for the rest of his, until they could, you know, figure out if he was crazy or not. And that's how they figured out space madness and stuff like that. You know, like they call it altitude sickness. And it happens to astronauts too. You know, they get up there and then they just jump right out of the rocket. Jump right out. Okay. Is that enough? All right. Thank you for being with me today, and I'm so glad we had this time together. My name is Dr. Andrew Michaels, and I'll always be here to help you. If you have any suggestions for future episodes of Drunk History ASMR, let me know, because I really know all this stuff. I know all the history of everything because I read it all. I'm really bored. Like I have a lot of time on my hands. You know, so I get around. So maybe I could do something you want to hear or something, you know. But yeah, that's it. Yeah. Oh, up there, the camera. Oh, okay.